Hey everyone, welcome back to the Free Assange Vigil. My name's Steve Poikinen. I am joined by my co-hosts Andrew Smith and Misty Winston. This is week 91 of these. That's an awful lot of weeks. It, it really is. Um, we have What the heck is that? Me? God damn it! That is me. I'm sorry about that. Anywho, we have a lot to talk about, and in about 45 minutes or an hour, we will be joined by our good friend Krish Mohan. Uh,
Hey.
Before all that happens, though, we've expanded what we're doing when we read off these numbers, so you might hear a new name or two. If you haven't been with us for the last couple of weeks, let me read those as they stand on March 30th, 2021. Today marks 3,759 days of illegal and arbitrary detention for Julian Assange. 720 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the US and UK for a $4.2 billion IMF loan. 719 days since the political persecution of Olabini began by the Ecuadorian government. So, by extension, the Five Eyes. It has been 84 days since District Judge and Concierge to the U.S. State Department, Vanessa Breitzer, read her January 6th ruling denying Julian Assange bail after his extradition denial order demanded his release. It has been 1,383 days of federal incarceration for Reality Winner, who is locked up for no freaking reason at all. Vault 7 alleged Vault 7 whistleblower Joshua Schultz has been incarcerated for 1,314 days, 908 of which have been spent under special administrative measures. On the plus side, Chelsea Manning has been out of jail with a dismissed WikiLeaks grand jury for 377 days, and Jeremy Hammond has been out of prison and out of the halfway house now that he went to after he was released from Oklahoma State Penitentiary for 24 days. Jeremy has just under 3 years of heavily supervised parole. But hopefully when that's done, we can talk to him. And with that, we got stuff going on.
We do.
Oh man,
We do.
we got stuff going on. And I was actually not able to put out the GoFundMe in time for the show to start, but I'm going to try and do that during, if possible. I don't know. We'll see. But Action for Assange is having multiple events over this here United States on April 11th to mark the 2-year tragiversary, horrorversary, shit showversary of Julian Assange being kidnapped from the Ecuadorian embassy. This is an International Day of Action. The flyer behind me is a team effort from Bean and Christine. Thank you, both of you, Bean for throwing the templates and all the fonts and stuff, and Christine for putting it together. This is available. Hit me up in the Action for Assange Discord. I will send you the templates and fonts for your event. I know we have Seattle, DC, Denver, North
Probably
Carolina,
Tulsa.
I think Tulsa. Somebody said they might try to put one together in Minnesota.
We may have one in Michigan.
Yeah.
I have Alex's list if you want me to read through it real quick. for April 11th.
Yeah, go for it. I want to see how many there are.
So far we have Los Angeles. We have a silent march in Frankfurt. That's Germany. Wellington, New Zealand. London with a bus tour. Freedom Ride, Denver. A Switzerland event, Toronto. We have Mexico. What else got added? We have New York. We have as well, and then
Boston, I know, is doing they do every other week as part of their activist organization. So they're not doing something extra on the 11th. They're doing their rally for that the weekend of the 5th.
Yeah, Boston is constantly in the streets, y'all. Shout out to Boston. They're amazing.
And Germany is fucking on fire. So this week.
Yeah, Germany is.
Right. Yeah. On Monday, we had, and I apologize if you're offended by the way I pronounce your city name.
Everyone's going to be.
Cottbus and Dresden. Today, we had Berlin and Essel. Tomorrow, we have Vienna, which is not in Germany, but we also have Hamburg and Dussel. Thursday, we have Berman and Stut. And Friday, we have Sydney, Australia out again, as well as Ulm, Germany from the 11th, or from the 29th through Sunday the 11th. Ulm, Germany will be out there. And then,
are they doing it every day?
I think every day, Friday, Saturday, and every day leading up.
That makes my German, like the German part of me, very happy.
Somebody should make you like translate Faust.
Oh my God, man! I can barely read English.
3 years, like that's all. You're just forced to do it.
Free Assange.
Gnarly echo somewhere.
It might be.
Is it
my
me?
headphones might be too loud. It might be. I don't hear it, so it might be me. I'll turn down a little bit. But freeassange.eu, I believe, is the website. I'll double check with Alex because it's giving me an error right now. But
follow Candles for Assange on Twitter.
Yes. Candles
and share those events. Please share those events, because the more eyes that get on them, the more people that will participate. So please share those events if you can. That would be great.
I'll tag the thread that Alex sent me and post underneath Steve's show announcement, just so everybody can see it.
Yeah. So Alex is doing a great job. Shout out to Alex.
Before we dig into anything else real quick, though, let me talk about what's going on April 10th in Los Angeles. And please, guys, if you're anywhere near the area, come see us. We'll be meeting at noon on the 11th. But before that, we're doing an event that's like press panel style. And we're inviting LA independent media and local organizers, and we're inviting everyone from LA, knowing full and well that there will be people that don't show, but we will be talking broadly about how the Assange case impacts both indie media and organizers in general, activism in general, and then specifically what the implications are for both independent media and activism if Julian Assange is allowed to be renditioned here, and
there's already been an impact.
Shit.
There's already been an impact. It's already, yeah, it's just gonna, but that, you're right. That's like next level. If he is allowed to be brought here,
well,
that's next
the
level.
thing, if this is successful, and I guess I would measure that by either coverage of or attendance of the event the next day. We need to be doing this like everywhere. It's like, if you help organize one, it certainly doesn't have to be us on the panel, but would like try and reach out to some people and like address the local media and the activist organizers in your community. Let's see if that works, man. Like, just directly go and talk to these people.
Yeah, I think that we really need to branch out in a real way. You know what I mean? Like, we need to try to dig in a little bit more. And does that make sense? Like, instead of just like, we've been very focused on just doing one thing.
I mean,
Not one thing, but like our approach has been the same. We need to like mix it up. Like, we need to try something else. And I think you're right. I think going like as locally and as broadly as we can, you know, because that's working. Like being able to kind of matchmake people, like that's working. There's been 2 people that have joined Boston from matchmaking. Like, that stuff's starting to work.
Kendra tells me, like, yeah, fairly frequently that like the people that are at their events are there because either they watch Slow News Day or because of your tweets or something like that. You know, like it's because of shit like this, and because we're constantly talking about it, you know, on the other show, and you are on your other show, and like it, you know,
I just like, I'm starting to see, I needed this boost of momentum. It is, but it's like, we're starting to see it. Like, we're starting to see it. And that's not to like, well, it is a little bit to pat myself on the back, because, you know, I'll take the wins where I can fucking get them, you know? But it's not, I'm just more excited to see that it's working, and that people are starting to, I think, pay attention a little bit more. And that's great. I just hope it's not too little too late. That's my biggest fear, is that it's too little too late. But yeah, like, the progress is good. Like, I really am seeing it. And I mean, it's entirely possible that I'm just convincing myself of that, because you guys know I love to invent my wins. But I would just rather live in my ignorance if that's the case, because I really do, like, right now I feel really good about where we can go, you know? Just seeing the people the 2 people, like, I think they grew to like 4 or whatever, in Tulsa. Like, they just went out with signs. Like, you know, that's great. That's fucking awesome. That's how it starts. You know, you have to start somewhere. One dude on a sidewalk with a sign is a start. That's how Andrew started it and all this.
Mhm.
Just going around and hanging up shit in his neighborhood, you know? And it's great to see more people get involved.
In DC, we had a little planning meeting today. We got all the dates and times hammered out. On April 10th, Saturday, April 10th, we will be rallying outside of the Ecuadorian embassy from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then we will be reconvening at about 2:30 until 4 outside of the British embassy. It's about half an hour away. Some people will take a break for lunch. Some people will do a little march through the parks and stuff that are on the way from one embassy to the other. So we're really pumped about that. And then on Sunday, we're going to be back outside the Department of Justice again, just to make them have to listen to us. So that's what we have so far. And that is from.
It's always a good time to stand outside the Department of Justice and yell. You know, It's cathartic. It really is.
And the FBI is right across the street, so it makes it.
That's true. It's a lot of concentrated evil right there.
Yeah. Trump Tower is 2 buildings over. The IRS is in between it. Like, it's a.
Such a great place, DC.
Right. Do we want to start with the Twitter stuff about the artwork? Do we want to talk about the artwork a little bit?
Yes, let's do that. Yes.
Cool.
So what's the auction at? Do you have the auction number?
I can pull it up. I have it floating around here somewhere.
Because that like took a huge jump. I've been busy. I've been trying to clean out my garage all day. So I haven't been able to watch it. Yeah. But
I'll screen share it real fast. Let me get it set up on here. So this is actually using a new thing, I think, right? So there's this new kind of Bitcoin system that came out that allows people to buy like the digital license, but also the artwork itself, I believe. And that's what this auction is a essentially silent Bitcoin auction. We're at $27,761.49 as our current bid. So I'm going to, it's not the most exciting thing to screen share, but I'll pull it up just so everybody can see it. Dollars Assange is an original artwork by Pascal Boyard, made of $100 real $100 bills, ripped and glued on a canvas.
NFT or something?
Sorry?
Is this an NFT? A non-fungible token? So never mind.
I'm not a Bitcoin guy. I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither.
Pascal will send 30% of the sales to the Bitcoin address displayed at the bottom of the work to support Assange. The pictured black floating frame is included with the purchase. So this is something I'm excited to see how this goes, because I think a silent Bitcoin auction for something like this by a named known artist is pretty sweet.
Yeah. And I think, the attention that it's bringing is great too. 30% of whatever is made is going to also be donated to Assange's defense fund, but it's still like the attention that it's bringing. Like it's been, I've seen it on Twitter a lot. I don't know that it's trending or not. I haven't really been paying much attention to it, but it is definitely getting attention. I mean, it's interesting piece of artwork. So, and I don't know, it's kind of deep a little bit, the dollar bills and Assange, and I don't know. I like the attention that it's bringing for sure. A lot of people who wouldn't ordinarily be talking about Assange, I've noticed, have been talking about that. And then also can we show the thing in Berlin?
Yeah.
There was,
I gotta find it.
An artist group or something.
I have the video right here, actually.
Yeah, this is pretty dope.
Let me.
They're also, I don't know if there's any left, but they were also like if you donated a certain amount of money, you could get like, there's going to be like 100 prints or something made, or 1,000, or I don't remember what it was, but I just remember seeing. I think I got an email or a DM or something, somebody telling me about it.
Let me pull this up because this is a pretty sweet video. I have to play it with sound. Oh, what?
That's big.
It's huge.
That's the whole clip, though.
That's the whole clip. I thought it was longer. I thought there was more to it.
Yeah, there's a couple different videos. I don't know if there's any. I mean, there was a couple.
There should be a next one.
That might be like a condensed. But yeah, that's so awesome, and it's huge. You're right. It's huge.
Yeah, it's the whole outside of a building. Like, it's beautiful.
Right. And that again, because it's so dramatic, that a lot of people were talking about it, which is fantastic. We need more of that, like outside the box thinking. We need that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had
some creativity.
There was someone that posted back on the 28th from Perth in Western Australia of just random ass projection on the side of a building with Lee Camp's "Free Julian Assange, Jail War Criminals" poster.
Yeah,
so I am fucking pumped about that, because that is some shit.
Yeah, we need to do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely attention grabbing, and that's what we need right now.
We're definitely getting the energy back. Like the internet's starting to remember who this man is and what he's done for everyone to expose absolutely anything that's wrong in the world.
Well, and I think it was Nils Melzer too, who said something like, a lot of people have like these ideas about this case, but like once you scratch the surface, it very quickly becomes clear how fucked up this is. And so I have found, really, if you can just get people to observe the reality instead of letting their bullshit that they've been, we talk about it all the time. It's a decade-long propaganda campaign. And that works on people, but if you can just get people to like scratch past the surface of that, it really does quickly become very clear how dangerous this case is and how important it is, and the amount of bullshit involved. The number of human rights violations alone, like, I'm astonished that people are not freaking out about what they're doing to him. To me, it seems just like
Well, the problem is
Again,
the English
cartoonish.
language doesn't have words to describe
There
it. Like,
isn't.
like we don't have like diaper nappers might be the closest thing we could come up with, but like these are people that literally deployed like high military technology to laser surveil windows because Julian used a white noise machine. Like that's some sci-fi shit.
Shit sifters.
Yeah, something. I like shit lords personally, but like that hasn't seemed to catch on.
You know.
That's like my
favorite. I don't know. You're right. There is not a word. There's not words.
A word. Yeah. There's nothing to describe keeping a man in a cage for over 700 days for exposing truthful information. Like there's not words to describe what happened in Yemen, right? There's not words to describe the collateral murder video that can
April 5th, collateral murder.
Context.
April 5th. Can we stop for 1 second? April 5th. Let me say that again. April 5th is now collateral murder day. We are if they want to silence Julian, then we're just going to yell louder. Put that shit everywhere. Post it constantly.
I think we like, because it was 10 years since its release.
It's 11 this year. Yeah, it's
since
11
it was
this year.
last year, I think like we actually declared April 5th collateral murder day. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, April 5th. Let's do this thing, bitches. Let's go. Let's make some noise.
I know it's like right around the corner, but I would love to try and organize and on the fly like as many people as possibly as we can to like get out and do a light projection of collateral murder. Video projection of
even just playing the audio. Like if you can go on Amazon and get a decent 30 or 40 watt megaphone or just a regular little sound amplifier, like the sounds of that video are so wretched.
I wish, honestly, I have the best idea. I just wish I would have had more time to execute it. I wanted to get like 2 little kids playing with like a helicopter and like a van and stuff like that, and not show their faces or anything, but then play the audio of collateral murder behind it, so that it's little kids playing like war, like playing with their army guys.
Look at those
but it's collateral
bastards.
murder. Yeah. Can you imagine? I thought that would be, and I'm, again, patting myself on the back here, but I thought that would be really powerful imagery.
I think it would be, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that, but I'm not like a videographer or a video editor, or like, I don't know how to do that shit. So I had the idea, but I just didn't have time before April 5th. I mean, that's like 5 days away or something. So, hey, if you're really good at that shit and you can whip that up, take the idea, take it, run with it, go. You don't even have to credit me. Go, make that happen. Make that shit happen. I think it would be powerful. Seriously, no credit required. Go run with that shit. Somebody go make that video for me, please. I just want to see it.
So this is a 15-minute piece, but are you guys cool if we play the whole David McBride bit while we wait for Krish?
I mean,
what? How long is the David McBride bit?
I would ask the audience if they want to hang out.
Is that like you want to play the whole 15 minutes?
Well, we don't have to. That's why I'm asking. Like, yeah. But David, just for a little background, David McBride recently gave a speech outside of the Australian Parliament.
Also, David McBride is a bona fide badass, and you should support him. Familiarize yourself with his case, please.
Steve and ABB have been doing great work making sure people can still remember who the fuck David McBride is through all this. So thank you, man, because that's been awesome being able to basically hear from him for the first time in almost a year again.
Yes. Yes, Steve. Thank you.
I mean, that's all.
And Glory.
Lubers for badgering him for like months.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Mark.
Way to go, Lubers.
Well, you're so attorneys, but you don't need to listen to.
Oh, what is the audience? Did the chat say anything? I don't know. I don't know.
I can just start it and then.
Yeah, just play. Like we can just play a little bit of it and then see what's up.
Cool. Let me screen share.
Next speaker, talking about truth tellers, have very few.
But it's happening.
What happened?
We're
What happened
told
on your side?
being
Can you still
investigated
It's freezing.
about war crimes
It's looking fine on mine.
committed
Is it okay,
by
Josh?
Australian soldiers acting in your name, in my name, in the politician's name, in his name. It's a hard road to travel, and we need to give this man every ounce of support we can on his journey. So please put them together, not just your hands but your hearts, for David McBride.
I need the microphone high because I feel like standing tall today. Seeing you all here makes me want to stand tall. The one thing I need to do, and some of you were there last, one thing I really need to do is to thank you. To thank you for turning up. To thank you to keep protesting. And today I want to particularly thank the parliamentarians that are here. They're still here, but the two senators and Andrew Wilkie. It gives us enormous strength to have people who sit in Parliament get it and understand where we're coming from. So I can't thank those three people enough. The whole Greens is behind us, but Andrew Wilkie, it's incredibly inspiring for me to have someone who stood up against the lies around the Iraq War, sticking up for me. And it's, I really want to thank Andrew. He's given me some great quotes, and I've sent them around the world to my friends in England. They don't necessarily know that much about Australian politics, but when they see a member of Parliament speaking up, it makes them think Australia must be a good place. So those people really are on the right side of history. I've got good news and the bad news, and the good news is I think we're going to win this. I really think we're going to win this. I think the broken door, that hides the sleaze in Parliament is just about to break down. And the protest today at lunchtime could be the last shove to push it in. As Bernard said, the fact of the matter is that so many of the people that govern us are simply pathological liars. They are not who they pretend to be. And like Bernard said, I am appalled at what our country has become. I grew up under the same atmosphere as Bernard. I grew up in the shadow of the Second World War, the greatest generation. I believed that. I believed all that. And my disgust and anger to find out that most of the people who make decisions in this country are really just charlatans in suits. And it is a disgrace, and it makes my blood boil. Senator Wish Wilson talked about the protests to the Iraq War in 2003. Now, I didn't protest the Iraq War in 2003. I was one of those people that believed that if our government was doing something, it was probably close to the truth or okay. And so it hit me harder than most to find out that the protesters were right, and it was a totally fake, illegal, disgusting action carried out by our governments, and the Australians were right there behind it. A lot of the Australians in some ways actually have more to be ashamed of than the Americans.
I agree. Yeah.
Because the Americans would not be able to do some things unless the Australians were backing them up.
Yeah.
So we are really complicit, and it's even worse because we are like this kind of sleazy, partner of the school bully who just walks around behind the school bully and says, yeah, whatever they say. Yeah. We're not even the school bully. We're the crappy little accomplice of the school bully. And it makes me sick to see it. And what for? What do we benefit for? I can tell you, because I've seen all the secret files. I've seen what's inside it. And I can tell you as an insider, I'm not like a rebel who came to this game opposing our forces. But I saw the reality, and the reality is we don't get anything out of the so-called strategic relationship. We get shame. We get lies. The Afghanistan war was no better than the Iraq war. It was better disguised, but it wasn't any better. It wasn't any different. It was all a show to win domestic elections. And when you think about that, that is really disgusting. We killed Afghan after Afghan. We dropped bombs on the wrong houses. We created terrorists. The really terrible fact is that we were less popular in 2013 than we were in 2002. They wanted us to come in 2002. They thought we might bring food and drinking water. Instead, we bought bombs because bombs sold elections. Bombs looked good on the 7:30 news. And we made terrorists. I was appalled to see a secret briefing in 2013 where the intelligence people said there are more would-be suicide bombers in the Middle East now than they have equipment to supply them with. And it doesn't cost that much to make a suicide vest. Now that's a scary fact. They weren't there because they were brainwashed. They were there because they could see we were liars, we were cheats. We said we believed in the rule of law, we believed in the rule of money. We said we believed in human rights, and we set up Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay was cynically set up as almost like a joke to say, well, we have to give them rights if we put them in jail in America. We'd have to give them rights if we put them in jail in Afghanistan. So we'll find a place which is neither Afghanistan or neither America and is legally nothing, and we'll put them there. That's cynical, and that is sick. A lot of people in Guantanamo Bay were simply Taliban soldiers. And there's thousands of lawyers that work for the US State Department. Now, they knew that it was not legally valid to put Taliban soldiers in some sort of high security anti-terrorist organization, but they did it. They might have had 10,000 international lawyers.
You want to pause it there for a minute? Not legally valid. That's how mellow David. He's like,
he is
like peppy Australian Jesse.
Yes.
You know, where the way that Jones describes it is he looks like he fights robot space sharks with a flamethrower in his spare time.
Well, when he says that he knows like the classified stuff, like that's probably what he's referring to. Is all the space sharks.
Yeah. I still need like that on a t-shirt, please.
Dude, what I love so much though, man, is just I'll go off on a fucking rant and I'll throw it to him and he'll be like, yeah, right.
Do you struggle with that at all? Like, is that hard for you to go from full fire rant, like your brain is moving and then like somebody just like
Dude,
like brick walls you? Is that hard for you? Because it's hard for me.
Man,
That's hard for me.
Every time I'm back here fucking howling over that shit.
Okay.
I am.
See, it's like my brain, like it's a shock. It's a shock. Like when everything's slow. Oh, did we lose Andrew?
I mean, I usually try and, bring it back in, but
yeah.
I mean, well, at least when McBride does it, like if it's somebody and like that's the show and I'm already as mellow as I am, then no, dude, I want to try and bring it up a little bit because I know that I believe that. I know that, sometimes it takes a while to get to the fucking point. So it helps if there's someone a little bit more punchy right there. That's why Jones is fantastic.
Yeah.
Punch.
Yeah.
Just
like she's like a constant
man,
punch. Yeah. yeah. She's a punch. Yeah. That's what we should start calling her.
Dude, in Allie, like nobody's ready for fucking Allie. Dude, her show got slept on because they never promoted it. Or like only promoted it like when it was on, and she's fucking rad, dude. Like
that's what we need is more media fighter brands.
Yes,
because we
just need more voices
that just don't apologize. People that say what the fuck is happening and just go for it.
Oh, speaking of another one, I'm gonna be on Stevie's show, Red Economics, on Friday. I think Friday. You guys should check out her show.
Big up Stevie.
Yeah, like that we need more people. Like we really do. A lot. It's mass public pressure. Really. I know we say that all the time. I realize like I say that all the time and it's probably annoying, but that's
we've reached the point with public pressure that like we can't, like us, the three of us can't even necessarily even keep track of all the cities that are like, hey, I want to put an event up. Or hey, I've
it's a little overwhelming, actually.
Yeah, like it's exciting. Like that's.
It took almost 2 years to get. We were talking about this the other night, man. It took almost 2 years to get here, but like on the very first Free Assange Vigil, we're like, this is what we would like. We would like a decentralized network of activists who are doing this all over the fucking country,
all over the world,
with Action for Assange.
Right.
And then we ended up like people are doing Action for Assange events in a handful of other countries now, and then with this
so cool
on the 11th, like just that we know of right now. We've got 2 on the West Coast, maybe 3 because San Francisco usually does some, like San Francisco's got a couple.
Did they do a Clovers event? I don't remember.
One more time.
Did they do a Clovers event?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I was just trying to like in my head,
Yeah.
There was a lot of those too.
But at least LA and Seattle, and then Denver, and then Tulsa, and then What, were you guys doing anything in Cleveland, or are you all going to DC now?
I'm going to DC. I got pulled.
Okay, I can go to DC. That's fine. I really want to go to LA because I want to meet Sleepy, but I just don't know if I can justify flying to LA.
The entire Slow News Day crew is going to be together live.
I know, and I really want to be there for that.
For the first time ever.
Yeah, I'm really. Like, I really want to go, but I just don't think I can make it happen.
So, okay, LA, Seattle, Denver,
Tulsa.
And then we're going to count Boston because
they just do shit all the time.
Their event, they're just doing it a week early.
So there will be DC,
New York, North Carolina, that's 8. That I can.
I'll reach out to the Tampa organizer from last time, see if they'd be interested in doing another one, because they might already have something planned up. We just haven't heard about it yet.
So come on, you guys, wherever the heck you're at,
let's go.
We got graphics templates. We got
Let's go for real.
However, with whatever fucking incredibly limited resources that we have, dude, we'll help you out. We will.
Dude, poster board and a marker, a cardboard box and a marker. Let's go. Like, that's what we need. I don't care how small it has to start. I don't care how hard we have to work. Like, this, to me, it's like, this is a no-brainer. We're going to lose so much if this shit goes down. And I really don't want to have to try to come back from that. I'd rather fight it like crazy right now before it happens than to have to try to, because you know that once they take away rights, you don't get them back. That just doesn't happen.
Especially in this method too. It's not like this is like the Patriot Act, which is a piece of legislation you can specifically
This
fight.
is a slow walk. Like we are being slow walked into a really bad spot. That's going to be, I don't, and maybe like other people don't think it's that important.
Is right the fuck now in real time.
Yeah.
Craig Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I pull that
You guys don't even know the freaking nightmare that Vanessa Beeley's going through right now.
Yeah.
And
everybody.
I don't know, Misty,
people are getting demonetized.
For Slow News Day, that the group chat over, but like the Guardian's flat out trying to get Beeley murked. Like, it's bad, dude.
Yeah.
It's bad, and we'll talk about it on Thursday, I'm sure. We're doing a moderator panel for the Thursday evening show.
Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's my birthday, so we're gonna
dope.
And hang out and do that for a while, and then I've got to do one of like Sam Tripoli's 18 fucking podcasts that I do. Yeah, the guy like wakes up and he's like, I have 17 minutes of free time between Thursday and Friday at 4:43 a.m. I'm gonna start a podcast.
Yeah.
That's
he is kind of a
it,
podcast hoarder. He has a problem. He needs an intervention.
Do we want to go over the?
He gave up cocaine. Would you like? You just had to.
Well, no one gives it up. It's just you just stop doing it until you're
stop doing cocaine.
Yeah,
and you start 80 podcasts.
It's almost the same thing. Do we want to go through a Craig Murray article that recently came out from Consortium News today?
He's gonna have a call-in show here.
Oh boy!
I love call-in shows. I'll call in every call-in show just to troll you.
Oh man, Sleepy Josh, you're running the board on that one.
Oh,
Sleepy Josh determines who gets on.
I can spoof numbers. It'll be fun.
My screener.
I could get Sleepy Josh to let me through to then fuck with you. I bet.
Yeah.
Sleepy Josh would totally do that for me.
Yeah.
I know he would. It would be
I
fun.
Volunteer Josh for a job he probably does not want.
It'd be great. I could see Josh
I know he doesn't want it, and I know that right
now.
now. Yeah. If he's even listening, he's probably rolling his eyes at you right now. See if
Right.
All right, let's talk Craig Murray. Everybody needs to talk Craig Murray. It's important.
We got Krish Mohan to talk Craig Murray
Yay!
with us as well.
Hello.
Let me undo the screen share real quick. How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. I'm being assaulted by my cat.
Oh, I relate to that so hard.
Yeah, he's a little whore for pets, and this is immediately what he did. He normally takes over my chair. I would not allow him to do that, so now he's like, well, it's fine. I'll just sit on you instead.
I'll share. We'll share.
That's what I'll do.
Sharing is caring.
In like 15 minutes, he's going to want to jump off and go explore the house and cause terror in other rooms. Don't bump my microphone. Bitch. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us, buddy. It's been too long since we've had you on. How's everything been going?
I know it's been good. It's been busy, but it has been good. Clearly, since I've left, Steve has classed up his act, wearing a fucking blazer.
Suit. Oh, man.
He every once in a while he pops on and like, look at me. I'm in my t-shirt, like my Free Julian t-shirt, like just chilling. Like it's got stains on it and shit. You probably can't see because my internet sucks, so I get away with a lot more on my end because like there's shit on here that you can't really see on camera. But it's there, I promise you. He's all dressed up over there. I'm like schlubbing it out and Steve's all dressed up. It's nice.
Steve's showing everybody up.
Somebody's got to carry this fucking show.
Really, man.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Adding a little professionalism to this joint, huh? Finally.
Yeah. Everybody knows I carry no show. Okay.
My friend, how have you been? So I know you've been really busy. I've been able to catch like one of your shows because my world has been upside down and heck and crazy as well. And I was able to catch a good chunk of your live stream today. That
was awesome. I like when you pop in because you always come in.
I didn't know
with
you had a live stream. Wait, I missed it.
I do. Yeah, I do. I do a stream on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12:30 ish. Depends.
East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Okay.
Good question. Yeah. Which I guess for Steve, for you, that must have been like 9 o'clock in the morning, right?
He's an early riser.
I found out that I was not going to be going to work.
Oh, okay, cool.
My boss was like, nah.
They're like, fuck it, I'll listen to this brown kid yell at some people for a little while. So I'll do that.
Which is the name of my next album. Listen to the brown kid yell.
Oh my!
I feel bad because sometimes I'm like, am I yelling too loud into the microphone? Because I can usually gauge this when I'm live. Because there's like, you know, if I yell too loud, I can hear it in the monitors.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm too loud at times. It's been a while. Does Jitsi not yell at you or whatever? Or never mind. I was gonna say it used to yell at me all the time. Your microphone may be too loud. Fuck off. You know?
I have good sound guys. That's who do it. Like whenever I do live shows, hopefully those will come back soon. But when I do, there's usually a sound guy that's like, hey, if you're gonna yell, just let me know so I could like adjust the monitor. Actually, when I go on tour with Lee, that is something that they have to do for him because he gets way louder than me.
Yeah, I love Lee.
I do too.
I know for a fact I've got friends that are playing shows in like Kansas City and Austin and like Arizona. I even saw where
I know
the new DNA's comedy lab in Santa Cruz is talking about opening at like half capacity.
Yeah,
I understand that half capacity shows would suck, but maybe you should explain that to the audience. Why half quarter capacity in a room is not great for a touring comedian.
Well, the financials don't particularly work out, especially for someone like me and Lee that, you know, we're not breaking in buco bucks when we go on tour, but after all the expenses are said and done, which is like gas and food and sometimes lodging, you know, a lot of times it's just crashing in people's houses, which now, even then with COVID, it's like, I don't know how many people are super comfortable with having random strangers crash at their house, you know, like, and it's like, I get it. That's part of the reason why I'm not touring right now. But then it's like at half capacity, if I was making like $300 at a gig and that was covering gas, food, and sometimes lodging, and still paying all my bills, you know, that I have to pay. If I'm making $300 a gig, now I'm making $150 a gig, and that's probably kind of breaking even at the end of the tour. And this is me being super generous.
Right.
Sometimes it's like we have a meal and several beer tickets. Would you like to drown the fact that you're not getting paid in alcohol? Mm-hmm. And usually I go, yeah, I do. I think that's fine. But let's not make it a habit. Let's not make a habit of it.
So I look at the death of the
like back in the day, and oh my god, the amount of bar gigs where you just got paid a tab, or they're like, here's $50 and you got, you know, like $150 in bar tab, and they're like 80 you in the band.
I love playing those rock bars as a comedian though, because there's no fucking way I'm going through that. So easily you can just at that point it's just like, can you pay me the difference? You know, like I'm going to use 2 beer tabs and get like a taco. Can I if I turn in all of my drink tickets, can I get some cash back?
And they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
They're like, no.
Get out there and make the people laugh.
But you can submit to alcoholism, maybe, and it's like, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing tonight. Like, drinking.
So one of the
you can have a career or you can have a habit, Chris. You can't have both.
Clearly, I've made my choice tonight.
So, Chris, do you know who we can talk to actually get the progressive stand-up comedian circuit going again? Because those are like some of the most important political gathering events, in my opinion. And to me, that's like the biggest casualty of COVID is the fact that there is now no longer rooms of 300 to 400 people, all with the same ideology, all within 2 to 4 hours of each other getting together.
There can be.
Well, in some states there can.
Stop fucking.
In some areas, you can still do that.
Letting shit happen like this. Jesus.
I had an idea one time that Lee Camp and Jimmy Dore should get together and have Camp Dore. And it'd be like a weekend long, like comedy festival, like different comedians performing at night and maybe some bands and like some political stuff, like have like people like have some rallies or organizing or whatever. You can meet up with people in your area. I thought that would be so fun. I DM'd it to Jimmy even one time. I was really high and I came up with that idea and I was really proud of myself. And I'm like, I'm going to tweet at Jimmy Dore. I'm going to tell him about Camp Dore and how they should do this weekend long political extravaganza. He never responded to me, but I thought it was a great idea. I was also really stoned though, so
I think it would be a great idea.
That'd be really awesome. That's an idea.
Chris to perform, and obviously Jimmy Dore, Lee Camp. Who else?
Ron Graham,
Steph.
Yeah,
maybe Katie Halper could join in.
Yeah, maybe. She could like for sure host something. I don't know if she's like a stand-up, but yeah, she could.
I thought she was a stand-up. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm not super
she
familiar with her. Like honestly.
Yeah, until they did the show, I wasn't super familiar with her, but I thought she had a background in comedy. I might be wrong. Wrong. But
somebody in the chat will tell us eventually.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Andrew, I believe the person that can get that can approve all of the progressive comedy tours to come back is obviously AOC, being that she is the queen of all progressives. So
right.
Obviously
she would show up.
She certainly played a very, very, very large joke on a lot of progressives, and boy, did I get hate.
Everybody
in 2017, 2018.
Yes.
When she was first like poking her head out there and was selling people shit. And I was like, do you guys realize that this is a fucking actress who doesn't give a fuck about you? And they're like,
listen, Steve, you have to learn. Satan. You have to learn to accept the apologies you will never get. That's what you have to do.
Well, it's not about the apology. It's not here's the thing. This is what I want to just my plea is that there are a number of us that have been consistently ahead of the curve on so many things. So when we're like, hey, this shit's about to happen, start to trust our instincts and then join us when we organize an event to push back against this, raise awareness about it, and don't and Chris, this hasn't absolutely nothing to do with what you do on your show or anything like that. It doesn't. We'll talk about this in a second too, because you've gone deep on a lot of shit, man. But there are people that just pussyfoot around with their content, and they placate their audience, and their audiences are having the exact same conversations that they have been for 5 or 6 years, even about the same people, when a number of those people have obviously shown them that they're not worth the mountains of praise being heaped upon them. and I just I want that to stop.
Oh,
You mean the celebrity fetishization of politicians in this country?
I call them
Yeah.
celebriticians. They're
Yes.
celebriticians.
Yeah.
With religious fervor.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like,
I mean,
you can't
these
say
people
anything about them.
Yes, they do not live in any reality. They're not interested in facts. You can talk to them about, I mean, like people who defend AOC constantly, they don't want to talk about her actual record. Like one of her first votes was for expanding NATO, and you know, she's not great, y'all. Like it's not me making shit up.
Well,
She's not great.
That was the thing is like, unless you were really, really paying attention, you didn't really know what her voting record was. You only knew what her Instagram feed was about, what she says on Twitter, and how, you know, I mean, that was the thing is like when she first came up on the scene, we were all like, holy shit, is this actually possible? Like, so, you know, I was excited for her in the very beginning because it seemed like this was something different for like my entire time in paying attention to politics. I was like, holy shit, a working class person might actually beat a bullshit establishment, you know, a fucking Democrat out of New York. That was like, who knew, right? Like, but then I kind of had the same expectation that I think a lot of people in the true left had, the progressive camp, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. And Lee Camp and I have had this conversation of like, yeah, let's see what she does. And here we are, is if you're unable to call her out for, you know, not standing by her flagship fucking policy.
Well, I'm just curious, other than shifting the conversation, whatever the fuck that means, what has she done?
Well,
what
she's
exactly
done a great job. She's moved the conversation to the right of Sarah Palin.
Brought down the house.
Well, on a real note, she moved the conversation within leftist politics so far to the right that Sarah Palin looks like a fucking unionist talking about Julian needing to go free.
Homie, like it is bad.
Yes,
bad.
She has Republicanized leftism. Seriously, like that. She's. I mean, that's probably a little dramatic, but
the education camps.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
she's cool with supporting coups, not speaking out on Syria, voting to expand NATO. Like, what the fuck else do you need? Well, I mean, anybody still defending her is beyond. Like, I just can't. I can't. If you claim to be on the left and you're still defending her after all of the shit that she's done, and then calling people who dare to criticize Joe Biden bad faith actors, fuck off. Like, I don't even have time for that shit anymore. I'm done with that shit. Please stop. Like, you just don't even understand what's happening.
Well, we've reached a point in the United States where you now have the left wing, like, being cool with detention facilities and these day camps for immigrant kids. Right. And then you have the far right people like Project Veritas getting the whistleblower footage from a detention facility with thousands of children sleeping with metal blankets on the floor with hundreds of sexual assault allegations floating around. And that's a right-wing outlet that now has put out that information.
That was all happening. I mean, that's been always happening. And then they were I wish I could remember the specifics of this without having to dig through a bunch of my research for it, but I'm pretty sure like the sexual assaults were definitely happening, and then they were basically like doing weird pseudo experiments on immigrants in those facilities too. Like there was like a doctor who got caught doing that shit. I mean that all has been happening. And
they're talking about forced sterilization.
They're doing that in prisons in California, and just regular, like not even an immigrant detention center or whatever you want to call it, overflow facility, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And like prisons in California, they're doing forced sterilization of Black women. That's happening in the United States of America, and everybody's like still fighting over the dumbest of shit and pretending that Nina Turner is going to save us.
Well, so everything has become so focused on identity politics and representation that people have stopped giving a shit about what the real issue is, what the real policy is. And that's why, like, I get it. People get mad at me whenever I say, oh, well, the Democrats and the Republicans are basically the same fucking party. And I have a really good friend that you know, gives me shit for it all the time. But and he is a wonderful comedian and musician, and he's a gay black dude in Arkansas that's married. Like, he's a fucking unicorn, right? So I understand where he's coming from, where representation is fucking important to him. But is that it? Like, is that where it stops? Like, are we just gonna say, cool, I guess Lloyd Austin can commit whatever the fuck war crimes he wants to because he's a black guy, and everybody in Syria is going to be like, well, finally, a black man is oppressing us.
That's you can legislate your way out of an oligarchy. Are we going to pretend like voting in a rigged system in an oligarchy presents a sustainable pathway towards any sort of like
change or any kind of functioning
worthwhile? No. Are we going to pretend that the people that have pushed this legislation that okay, if you understand that you can't trust AOC now, maybe go and revisit the Green New Deal?
Right.
Maybe go take an actual look at that thing. Maybe go look at what like me and Corey Morningstar and Whitney Webb and a couple other people, but that's about fucking it. We're telling you back in 2019 about this because it's all there. We've got all of the fucking receipts are there. All of that. So we've done this. We've done this and we've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. We just had Corey Morningstar on Slow News Day. It was a freaking incredible episode. And we had a 2-hour conversation with her with like never freaking happens. And it's there's a clip of it on YouTube, but the full interview is up on Rockfin. As a way of saying, Jesus, please come join us on a different platform because YouTube is arbitrarily going to remove my channel.
All of us.
And your like that's coming.
Steve, have you guys seen Burmes's format and the way he's trying to roll out moving people from Rockfin to YouTube?
I mean, and it works because he's pushing 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Well, what he does is he'll start a video on both platforms, and when he gets to the censored content, like he'll take it all the way to when YouTube would close the door, and then cuts the YouTube live feed. After talking for the whole first 10 minutes about, hey, we're going to be on Rockfin at minute 10. Hey, go sign up for your free Rockfin account. Here's some information we can't talk about that we're going to go over. And then turns the YouTube video off to actually go through the rest of it on Rockfin.
No,
I think that's a fucking epic
it does. We're like kind of, we're not doing exactly that. But
well,
we're going to start just putting some clips up on the Slow News Day YouTube of what, but if you want, you know, if you want full monkey, you gotta come over and.
Steve, have they arbitrarily deleted any of your videos yet?
Yeah.
Have they? Okay, all right, okay. Yeah. That's why, because when it happened to me, it was just like, I just kept seeing it. You know,
we also get a QAnon context warning. Yeah.
After being one of the only shows on the internet to factually debunk QAnon.
Like from the word go. Like Steve has always been onto that. He's always said this is a psyop. Like, don't even, like, this is ridiculous. Steve was on top of it, and he still gets QAnon content warnings on his.
I mean, that's classic, though, right? Like that.
It just shows you how they were trying to make a plan happen. Like they
haven't fucked with facts on the ground at all. But I think that's because we are not monetized, and we've never tried to get monetized. We don't we're just flying under the radar. I think for the most part.
It gets even better though, Chris, because in like September or October of last year. We were hanging out with Whitney on a live stream talking about narrative management going forward and what was going to be happening and the domestic terrorism legislation that was going to be rolled out after whatever event of 9/11 scale that the DHS had been putting out memos about since March of last year that we had been covering. And it was one of the things that we had talked about was that going forward under a Camillary administration, all content that goes against the narratives was going to be labeled QAnon adjacent or QAnon. It was going to fall under that. And then January 6th happened. They immediately called for a 9/11 style commission to investigate what happened on January 6th. Like, and this is, I mean, again, maybe start to trust our instincts, because we couldn't have been more clear about this shit. And this is not anything anybody wants to be right about. This is not anything like worth bragging about. It's horrific. But like, if we want to effectively organize against this and genuinely resist this, start to trust the instincts of the people who have been fucking telling you about it well enough ahead of time to organize around this.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it is. But people just don't trust it. Like I've debunked Russiagate, I don't know, countless times, but people still parrot that same fucking narrative. And I've even shown them, like, Aaron Mate has written one of the best fucking pieces to debunk the whole thing, and I show them that, and then they come out and they go, "Oh, well, this guy works for the Gray Zone. They're what the fuck did they? They're a Venezuelan deep cover, like some crazy shit connected to, like, they're basically Venezuelan operatives that are here to sow divide within the glory of capitalism." They might as well have said that, but it's
by Chinese Iranians,
right? Yeah, who knows?
Rubles.
yeah. Like, but it was just like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, and again, like, I just watched a Project Censored documentary about the word fake news, and they talked about how the way they kind of discredit a lot of these legitimate journalistic outlets like RT or the Gray Zone, Mint Press News, all of these other, you guys, like, these are real journalists that are on the ground, and they discredit them by making them put these warnings like, "Oh, this is Russian-sponsored content."
Do you know where the fake news talking points originally started? Like, where you can look them up on the Google Trends? It was during the Podesta email drops of 2016. It was when Pedogate and Pizzagate were becoming a thing on the internet, and they started trending, and then within about 12 hours, fake news starts trending. And that's when that term starts happening, is shortly after the Podesta-gate drop, and people start exposing
so real quick, Chris, I gotta tell you this too. I don't know if you heard about this or not, but when Whitney Webb was kicked off of Patreon, did you hear about this? It's not because she was putting out medical misinformation. It was because she was putting out accurate information, which may make people question the little boop, boop.
Validity of the shots.
Yeah.
Of course they did. I mean, there was. But,
I mean, this is where we are, though, brother. Banned from a platform, removed from a platform for putting out accurate information that may encourage critical thinking. Legit, that's what it was.
Yeah. But that's, again, it's just like, this is how fucking propaganda works, right? This is how failed states operate.
we're gonna pretend like somebody getting a committee position is going to, like, do something. We're gonna pretend, right? Like, okay, but
come on, Steve.
There's a real progressive in Minnesota's 111th district. And when she gets in, or when he gets in, or when they get in, it'll be different. That's going to be what that's gonna the
we just need more progressives. That's all. And like, even though the ones that we got sold out
and doling that shit out, or like somebody's gonna be a governor, or somebody's gonna be a whole state legislature is now socialists in the same state where they're going to have fucking company towns.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but that's the thing, is like, these people haven't read history, and until I looked into it, I didn't know this, right? But it's like if I share this information out with people, they go, "Oh, it's all you're just being cynical, or you're just being a bad faith actor, or whatever the fuck they want to call it." But like, look, I was excited about AOC in the beginning, but as time went on, I was just like, okay, what happened? Clearly got co-opted by the Democratic Party. And then when you look into history, that's exactly what happens, right? Like Eugene Debs tried this in like 1884 or something, and basically realized when he was in state legislator that you can't push the party to the left. It's impossible because they're a corrupt party. They're broken. They only care about corporate interests.
They're a corrupt party, and we're working within a completely corrupted system. Like that's like 2 punches in the face before you even start.
Right.
It's you cannot work from the inside. I don't know how to get people to understand that. It is going to take like organizing outside the system, including like mutual aid, because it's not going to be pretty. I mean, it's going to be ugly. But that's where we're at.
What real revolutions are pretty, right? Every revolution has been.
Progressives seem to think that if you're just nicer and if you just say please and thank you, then they will eventually give us what we want. Maybe someday, maybe. Like,
or you get a demerit.
Yeah, well,
you get a demerit. Yeah.
They're just gaslighting, and they know that they're gaslighting. I mean, that's why we have progressives who are saying, okay, we can't fight for Medicare for all because $15 an hour is more doable. And then $15 an hour comes around and there isn't even like a tepid debate over it. Like they said some things and the establishment Democrats were like, no. And the progressives were like, okay. And the conversation was over. They didn't fight. They didn't do anything. And they have some leverage. It's not a lot, but they do have the ability. There are enough of them who claim to be progressive that they could make a pushback. They don't. And there's a reason for that. They're not there to push back at all. They're there for their careers, and they're not your friends. They're not good people. And they may have convinced themselves, like done some mental gymnastics to justify what they're doing. Like, oh, well, I'm doing a little bit of good, and at least that little bit of good is getting done, and it might not be if I weren't here or whatever. I'm sure they tell themselves those stories, but they're not good people. We need somebody to like flip fucking tables like that. That's what the squad sold, like the whole point of the squad was that they were birthed from the Bernie movement because Bernie and Bernie supporters just got royally fucked over in public out loud. Like everybody knew about it. Thank you, Julian. The whole point of the squad was, okay, now these are the people that we're going to get them elected to Congress, and they're going to go in and they're going to fight the Democratic establishment. They're going to, start throwing some leverage around. They're going to, like I said, flip some tables. That was the point. And now so many people are making excuses for them for, completely capitulating, calling Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear, voting for her twice.
Saying that Julian Assange's situation is complicated.
Yeah, and then I have
really
concerns.
Not,
fuck your concerns, bitch. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm gonna get in so much trouble for calling you a bitch, but come at me, bro.
Can we pull into the Craig Murray article? Do you want to do an article with us, Craig?
Yeah. Cool. Let's do that.
I've actually been curious about this for the last couple of days because it popped up and I was like, I got to learn more about this.
Muhammad Almazi is a great resource.
I gotta split in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
Just found that out, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. A little bit of background on Craig Murray. He is a former ambassador, I believe, to Syria. Could be horribly wrong.
You are wrong. It's
that way.
Damn it. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look it up because that's wrong.
But
and my brain
it's in here. Former diplomat. He was on trial because he breadcrumbed. For those of you that don't know what that means, it is supposedly releasing information that could potentially lead to the identification of a witness or person of interest in a court case. The United Kingdom has the most extreme restrictions on court case reporting, to the point that most people just don't even do it because it's not worth trying to risk it. But this is about that court trial because he recently got found guilty and could be potentially facing 2 years in jail. In the last letter from London, I discussed the background in the contempt of court case for historian, journalist, and former diplomat Craig Murray for his reporting on the criminal and civil proceedings against Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond's sexual assault allegations, for which he was acquitted on all charges. I also discussed the letter of the political situation in Scotland, the rise of the sentiment favoring independence from Britain, the power struggle within the Scottish Nationalist Party, and the alarm of the growth of the pro-independence settlement in Scotland is causing in London. The case against Murray has resulted in a judgment convicting him of contempt of court. He is now at serious risk of up to 2 years in prison with sentencing set for May 7th. Before discussing the judgment itself, there is a point to be made about one aspect of the court's conduct that is seriously worrying. With an 8-week gap between Murray's trial and the announcement of his conviction, the trial lasted only 1 day. The evidence was limited in its extent, and it was largely agreed by the prosecution and defense lawyers. It is not clear why the court needed 2 months to deliver its judgment. Normally, after such a trial, judgment would be delivered a few days or a week at most. The delay seems both cruel and unnecessary to Murray and his family. It is useless to speculate about the reason why, but Article 6.1 of the European Convention on Human Rights requires that the determination of criminal charges should take place in a fair and public hearing within a reasonable time. For the record, 8 weeks in a case like this does not seem like a reasonable time. The case against Murray was in 3 parts. One, his reporting on the case against Salmond that may have influenced its outcome. That 2, he may have improperly reported facts about the dismissal of one of the jurors. And 3, that his reporting made it possible to jigsaw identification of some of the witnesses who gave evidence against Salmond on his trial. No evidence was produced at Murray's trial that his reporting influenced the outcome of a case against Salmond, nor any evidence produced that anyone identified any of the witnesses because of anything Murray wrote. The previous letter from London pointed out that this made the case against Murray look abstract, and it made me wonder what the point in bringing it. The court, in its judgment, rejected the prosecution's case that Murray's reporting might have influenced the outcome of the Salmond's trial. It also rejected the prosecution's case that Murray's reporting about the juror was contempt of court. The part that involves the jurors always looked exceptionally weak, and the court had no difficulty dismissing it. The court's rejection of the prosecution's case that Murray's reporting might have influenced the outcome of Salmond's trial is an indisputably correct decision. Although the prosecution and the defense and the judge had all appeared to agree at Murray's trial that Salmond's trial had been fairly and properly conducted, it was worrying that if the court had decided that Murray was in contempt because of his reporting might have influenced the outcome, then some people would have claimed that Murray's reporting did affect the outcome, which would have been an absence of that reporting. That might have led to the claims that Salmond's trial was a mistrial, with Murray being blamed. It might even lead to the demands that Salmond be retried at the same charges all over again on the grounds that Murray's reporting had rendered his acquittal unsafe. That would have been wholly wrong, and given the faulty political atmosphere in Scotland, it is extraordinarily bitter feelings which Salmond's trial had provoked. I can easily see how that situation the Scottish prosecuting authorities and the courts might have bucked under pressure and been swept along. The court's decision to reject this part of the prosecution's case, that disastrous outcome has been avoided. The judgment, which finds Murray in contempt of court, nonetheless provokes serious concern. And then I can keep going, but I'll pause for now because it's Consortium News always writes wonderfully lengthy articles. I'll post it in chat for everyone to take a look at.
They do. Do we need to explain what jigsaw identification is, or did we kind of do that already at some point?
I can do it again. But
no, I just want to make sure we understand what that is.
Real quick,
I don't understand what that is.
Real quick before I have to bounce. There were 2 super rays that came in. One from Muhammad Afzal. Thank you, my brother. He says, keep doing God's work. Thank you. Free Assange now. Thank you. Monique just said, hello, my faves. Keep on.
Hello.
I'm meeting with a Freedom
like
from
her
Buffalo
style.
group tomorrow and hoping to find a sit-in or rally for April 11th in Western New York.
Where?
Love, Buffalo.
Buffalo. Okay. Find me on Twitter, homie. Find me on Twitter, and I'll try to hook you up with some people if you want to find some people to hang out with and do some shit. I got you. Let's go.
And
Let's do it. Find me on Twitter.
We've got templates
Sarcasm
for
Stardust.
graphics. We've got
yeah,
you know, like templates or suggestions for posters and signs, like with banners.
Whatever you need, like we can find you people. We can find, if there's not an event near you, we can find you. We can help. We will help you set up events. Like I have been able to find organizers in different areas for different people so that they can figure out what they need to do in order to have an event. Because a lot of people have no idea what they're really getting into. But like the New York group was really fantastic. I had some people reach out to me that wanted to organize in New York. And so I was like, hey, can anybody help these people organize in New York? And now it just, instead of having two separate events, they just joined forces and they're having an event in New York. And it was cool to be able to just hook them up so that they could help each other out and figure things out. Like we can do that. We can help people. Like, I don't know. We need lots of events everywhere, all over the place.
Do you have any comments on Craig's stuff before you got to bounce, Steve?
Yeah, Steve, anything?
I mean, we saw this coming. We talked about it, you know, like the moment it broke. We've been keeping up as best as we can, and
I'd say on the 11th, I hope the London team also includes Free Craig Murray.
Yeah, if you actually reconstructed a railroad and then got one of those little hand carts and strapped Craig Murray to it, he could not be more railroaded than he has been. Like you. Chris is my new hype man. Everyone, I'm gonna start bringing Chris on the show.
I've literally never heard anybody fucking use that railroad reference before. For any, just the
That needs to be a GIF.
Somebody's gonna make that a GIF, and it's gonna be absolutely horrifying.
Yes, it will. It'll also be horrifyingly awesome.
Yes.
It's true. It's true.
You know?
So what jigsaw identification is it is revealing facts about, supposedly revealing facts about a court case that could potentially lead to the identification of an unnamed witness, to someone who has other information about the court case. It's literally a gag law that silences reporting on court trials. It was a weapon, actually, that got used against Julian because they weren't allowed. There was a media blockade on the name of his partner. And the judge literally in court threatened, hey, we're going to release the names of your partner and children to the public. Like, are you sure you want your bail?
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah. So they are able to use that law in a way that enables them to have more power, because then they can create media hype around it, or they can strike down reporters that may rub up against identification for bullshit court trials.
But this is primarily like a UK thing.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Because that's what I was
now.
thinking. It was like, wait a minute, aren't we fucking doing the same thing for all of these killer cop trials? Like, but you know, like MSNBC and fucking whoever else is covering it, like none of the corporate news is going to get in trouble. But if they do it here, it'll be people like us and the Gray Zone and Mid-Press News and Unicorn Riot and all those folks would do what they're doing to Craig Murray. So my question is, then how the fuck do you cover court cases.
Well, they don't want you to. That's the whole point, is they don't want you to cover these court cases. And so, they're trying to manufacture this willingness for that to be acceptable. And that's what all of this is about. Like I've been describing this for the longest time as like a slow walk into our own demise, because they have been doing this systematically it's really been for decades, but I would say over the past like 10 to 15 years, it's really been ramped up. And really over the past 8 years, it's been intense.
So he's made an example out of.
Yes. Well, that's what Julian is. I call Julian the proverbial head on the stake. He's the warning shot. Like, don't fuck with us. This is what we're going to do to you. And that's what Craig Murray is about. That's what happened to Max Blumenthal when he had like a freaking SWAT team. Blumenthal, it sent a SWAT team to his fucking house. He's Max Blumenthal, like, come on.
Well, while Chelsea Manning was running for office, they sent a SWAT team to her house for a wellness check.
Yes.
She wasn't home. She was out of the country, but they literally busted her door open to make sure she was okay. Like, that's not how you check.
Which is great.
No.
Which is great because
how many times have they done a wellness check on like a mentally ill black man and shot him? Or what?
One of the things that gives me hope about the Craig Murray case, right, is the fact that there is a Scottish nationalist movement. Because the last time that happened, we got Braveheart. So I am super excited for the next Scottish nationalist feature film.
They can never take our freedom, Andrew.
Right, and that's a group of people that can identify with not wanting their freedom taken culturally. So I am glad that London is scared of a Scottish nationalist movement.
Man.
Yes, yeah. Steve, do you need to bounce, homie?
I do.
Do you need to close? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
There will be a GoFundMe up this evening. Please look for that. It's not going to be too terribly much. It'll be a little bit easy. We do have to now in DC take care of some lodgings for a couple of nights.
I have to talk to you about that after this.
Okay, maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it all out.
We're like, this is fly by the seat of our pants. Here we go.
And we need other
you guys.
people
If
to
you're
fly
anywhere
by the
near
seat of
Los
their pants with us.
Angeles, April 11th, come see Action for Assange and the Convo Couch and a handful of other organizations now that are signing on to this We Are All Assange event. The Fuck Censorship protest will also occur alongside of this. It is going to be fantastic. You guys, the Fuck Censorship protest in DC was
so fun.
So much.
I know that's probably like the wrong word, but like being with my people yelling at Google and Bill Gates in the streets of DC was a lot of fun for me.
Catharsis of screaming, fuck the CIA.
That was
fuck
nice.
the CIA out and fuck the FBI.
Fuck the FBI outside the FBI building. That was good. It's good stuff. It feels good. It really does feel good, Krish. I highly recommend.
Especially with a megaphone, because it's just like you just hear the echo off of their beautiful fucking glass empty buildings.
I got a sick sense of pleasure whenever I would like work out new material at these open mics at fucking Adams Morgan when I lived there, and it was all of these Capitol Hill 20-something-year-olds that are working for some Republican lumber lobbyist or some shit, and just me going up on stage and be like, here's why capitalism is fucked, and just ranting about it because they would all just be like, all right, let's just stare into our drinks and hope that this ends soon. And it's like, it's never ending, motherfucker. I'm downstairs and I have nowhere to go and a full pack of cigarettes. Let's do this. I think those were my favorite moments of failure, because I would never get a laugh. None of that shit was ever funny to them, but to say it directly to their face that's the closest I've gotten so far to screaming "fuck the FBI" in front of the FBI building.
It feels really nice. It really, Steve said it's cathartic. It really is. It was like a year's worth of therapy.
Krish, I love you, my friend.
Love you too, man.
You guys are okay too.
Yeah.
I'll try.
No, you're not so bad. It's all right.
To everyone who's been watching, everyone who's supported us, thank you so much. I love you guys. Thanks to Sleepy Josh for holding down the tech. Much love to Bean for the graphic and font templates. Much love to Christine for putting it together. It rhymes. It's adorable.
It is kind of adorable.
And yeah, the all of the templates and fonts and all that, absolutely available. Hit me up in the A4A Discord. I'll make sure that you get them, or DM or whatever. And yeah, thanks guys, and I'll see you guys. Oh, we're having a planning meeting for the LA thing tomorrow night too, at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 East Coast. So again, A4A Discord. There's an event channel. Get at it. And yeah, I'll see you guys. Take care.
Later, buddy.
Later, dude. I just had that overwhelming "oh shit, I have to close" thing.
Yeah, you can go first this time.
Okay, good.
Just have to do the jazz.
We can make Sleepy do the "good luck to us all" again.
That actually worked really well last time.
Yeah. I hate closing. I don't know why. It's fucking dumb, but here I am.
Right. So, since we have a little moment here, I sent you a super cool study the other day, Krish, that I've heard absolutely no coverage about outside of Adam Kokesh's live stream in a joke.
I actually just wrote about it today because I added it for the show on Friday because that whole thing is about the war on drugs, and I was like, holy shit. How come this didn't pop up in my research?
It hasn't. I found it in one place, and there's one article that existed on the internet that pointed to the case study. And for those of you that don't know, it has come out of the University of Chicago in I think it's like a 7 or 8 department study, like University of Cancer Research, University of Department of Cancer Research, Immunology, and a bunch of others, that marijuana directly combats coronavirus. Multiple
I'm sorry, wait,
ways.
say that again?
Smoking THC and CBD, not taking the drips or the lotions, but inhaling it directly combats coronavirus.
It's specifically the CBD.
Yeah,
oh, me too.
It breaks down the fucking replication process as it tries to replicate and explode.
It inhibits it. Meaning it doesn't let it make the connection between the cell and the virus, which means that the virus can't replicate and it can't survive for long, and it will just die out in your system.
So I just want to say congratulations to everyone that survived the end of the world, because we now
because at this point there's so much debate going on about the vaccines, and even my sister and I have had this conversation back and forth, but and we both have admitted to each other that they haven't said that this thing will prevent you from getting COVID-19, right?
Yeah, it explicitly says it doesn't.
Yeah, and what they've claimed is it doesn't, it reduces the chances that you get symptoms so that you can survive. That's not a vaccine, right? That's like a stopgap measure. But that's what happens when you fucking rush shit. Realistically, if they did this the right way, we would be hearing about a vaccine around now. Around now, they would be like, holy shit, we finally did it, you guys, right? But at the end of the day, because it's CBD, and I think there's a study that basically said you can either inhale it or ingest it, so you can also eat CBD. It's just a matter of it being in your bloodstream. That means that if you legalize weed nationwide, you basically have a cure-all. That's exactly what this. So where they're at on the study is they're ready to do large scale human trials. That's what they wanted to. Me too. I'll go to
I mean, not joke. They could literally test the service and trade industries. They've already done mass testing of the homeless population. They found that all of them had it, but none of them died from COVID. Not none of them. Right. And why? Why was that?
It works the same way as THC and CBD have known to work against cancer cells. This is something that they won't really talk about, but it inhibits. What do they call? I think it's called the cytokine storm is what the article referenced it as, which is basically the mass replication of whatever cell, right? So in the human body, it's basically your white blood cells start replicating like crazy because they think that they like healthy cells are the enemy. It basically is preventing that, which is why it stops cancer. So like THC, CBD, and hemp oil have all been proven to be cancer deterrents. Yet this plant is a Schedule 1 drug, which is classified as highly addictive and no medical purposes. And it's like you can't
big pharma, because really that's what's up. Oh, and big alcohol too. They don't want you to have weed either.
And big tobacco.
Big tobacco.
And the reason I bring this up on the vigil, right? And I'm sad that Steve's not here for us to talk about it. Is the fact that this is censored information. This is factual, proven information that should be circulated for people to make a personal or medical judgment on. But no one's hearing about it. It's not even getting ran in independent media because of how fucking deep the lead is buried on this.
Well, that's why I wrote about it.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
I figure if I throw a dick joke in there, you know, they can't be that mad at me.
Right?
I'm sure. But like we can get removed from this platform, from YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, we can get straight taken off this
for even talking about it.
Just having a conversation about factual information. And so that's part of what we're pushing back against too, and why I'm so excited that fuck censorship has gotten involved with this.
But it's not even. I mean, it's also the fact that this doesn't come from some, you know, obscure lab in like the middle of, you know, Wisconsin or something. Like it's from the University of Chicago, which is a pretty like big deal mainstream research center. And what's crazy about this whole thing too is at the beginning of all of this stuff, right? At the beginning of the pandemic, my sister and I had this conversation about how universities and university researchers were actually calling the CDC to be like, hey, we found this strain of this virus. It's a strain of SARS-CoV. It's potentially like a major problem. And you should here's the way that we have built tests to stop it, and here's all of the research that we're doing. You can actually prevent like a mass scale panic by doing something with this information, and they ignored it. Right. So again, a university is coming out with a study that's saying, hey, here's a way that we can fucking end this pandemic in the time that it takes to watch fucking Speed Racer. Right. Like you can end it. You can get a bunch of people high. The CBD will like that's it. That's all it fucking takes. And they won't do it. They won't do it because, oh man, we still have to pretend like reefer madness is a thing.
Could you imagine living in that world where like fucking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's press secretary comes out and they're like, well, you know, marijuana seems to beat all this. Like, you're good people. Like, we can stop the $1 billion, $1 trillion bailouts. We can stop looting small businesses and fucking ransacking 10 generations from now. Like, we got it. Like, we're good.
Wasn't there just some politician recently that like went hold on, some dude, what's his name, Pete Ricketts, Nebraska governor, said that opposes the legalization of medical marijuana in his state and warned parents that the substance will kill your kids. Dun dun dun.
Even though there have been 0 proven deaths from marijuana.
Yeah, but Pete Ricketts from Nebraska thinks that marijuana is going to kill your kids, everybody. Russia's going to turn off your power and marijuana is going to kill your kids.
So put on your masks and stand 6 feet away from your grandma at Christmas.
I had this huge conversation about like there are some studies that were treating kids with seizures with THC to prevent seizures.
There are so many things that it helps with: depression, anxiety. My child is autistic. It could help with her anxiety. She deals with a lot of anxiety, especially when we like go places.
It's not like they're making the kid smoke an entire bong by himself.
No,
right?
That's
like
ridiculous.
But that's the thing is that's what people assume it is. When you say, oh, we're going to treat a child with that gets regular seizures or has depression and anxiety with THC and CBD to help those things, they're not like making them do a gravity bong at a party, guys. Like, this is science. They're probably giving them a lower dose of it. to see how it works and measure, right? Like, oh, you're having these
as they
kind
do
of
with
seizures,
any
so.
medication with children.
Exactly.
You start on a very low dose, you monitor them very carefully, and you watch for any changes in behavior, any symptoms or side effects or whatever, and you slowly increase or decrease and find the right mix. And you know, like, medicine works that way. Like, that's how it works. I get that a lot of people want to shit all over medication, and you know, but this is kind of different. It's not pharmaceuticals. It's not, you know, this is something that is, it's a plant. Like, it's more I don't even
natural
know. To me.
Yeah. I would say like Ayurvedic almost. Like, this is what my parents used to do when they used to give me like Ayurvedic medication in India, because we didn't, you know, you have prescribed medication in India, but you also have a lot of Ayurvedic stuff that you can buy over the counter. And it's like, okay, if I give the kid 2 of these pills, you know, that's made out of whatever, these rare herbs and plants or what and stuff, it helps his stomach, but then he like also tastes metal for 2 hours, whatever it is, right? But it's like the Ayurvedic stuff is all you kind of experiment and try to figure it out. Half the time, that's what I'm doing with a bunch of my shit. Like, I don't like Western medication. It fucks with me too much. It gives me really bad side effects. So I've always looked for more. I hesitate to use the word holistic, but it's stuff like I have if I drink too much caffeine, I get anxious and my heart hurts, because that's what it does if I drink too much coffee. So I take ginseng as a supplement, right? I know that ashwagandha can help with anxiety and depression, and I'm a huge, you know, I have a lot of anxiety. I get these bouts of depression, so I take the ashwagandha and it helps. And it's all about like what works and what doesn't. So I was taking 1 a day for a little while, and that kind of seemed to work, but it didn't. So I was like, all right, I'll take 2, and that seemed to work pretty well. And then I took 3, and it was like, okay, 3 is a bit much. We're getting a little overboard here. But that's how you figure it out. But until like, there's no like measured scientific responses, because a lot of these medications work differently for different people. So
it's even the same with Western medication. Like, Western medication affects everybody differently. Your chemical makeup and the way that your body interacts with certain drugs, and maybe you're on something else that would also have some sort of effect on whatever else they're giving you. Like, if you have multiple conditions or whatever, like Western medicine isn't like this like solid thing that it's like one size fits all. This is, if you have this problem, you take this amount of medication. Like, just for me, finding the right antidepressant and the right dosage, and I mean, that's like a process. That is a process.
But
finding I have severe ADHD. Finding the right medication for that was ridiculous.
Oh, my housemate goes through the same thing. She's been struggling to get her ADHD medication for, you know, back to where it was, because she found something that was working, and now they won't let her. It won't prescribe it.
Insurance stopped covering it or some shit like that, because that happens a lot.
Yeah, the hospital network is basically they're concerned about addiction, or they kind of gave her basically a legal line. And so it's but that's the thing, is like, it works, and she was never addicted to it. There's never been a history of her abusing it or like doubling her prescriptions or any of that sort of stuff. You
can't anyway, and like, it's so hard. Like, you cannot, like, for me, I cannot get my prescriptions refilled until it's like 29 days. You know, it's like usually every 30 days, but like, you can go like the day before, and it's very strict, at least here in Ohio. Like, you cannot go get your prescriptions refilled early in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
PA is very similar to that too. And like, I mean, my ex-wife, you know, whenever she would come on the road with me, she would have to get her prescriptions refilled, and it was a fucking nightmare trying to go state to state and figure out what the protocol is to, you know, and it's just to get her regular medication filled.
Right.
And well, one of the things, so this is a cool conversation to bridge into this with a lot of people becoming active and taking actions for the first time as activists, or rejoining activism after a while, or what have you. Mental health is a huge thing for activists, because we're literally standing up against a system that no one can think individually can be defeated. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety that gets put on to regular daily life on top of that. So could you, either of you or both of you, talk for a little bit about like good mental health and how you maintain it as an activist and journalist?
Drink. You should drink. No, I'm kidding. But you should have you should have a drink. It took me a really long time. I think partly because of this whole pandemic thing. Like a lot of what I normally would do, like I don't have the opportunity to just go and use comedy as an outlet to go and talk about something that just is upsetting me at an open mic for 5 minutes, right? Like I don't have that outlet anymore. And like when I lived in DC, I mean, there were protests and marches and all that kind of shit all the time. So I would go to a bunch of them because one, DC is very walkable. And if I wanted to take a 25-minute walk or like a 10-minute train ride or something, I could do that and it would be fine. And I would show up and it would be a big thing and we would march and I would get to meet a lot of cool people and it was great. But there was something different going to the Black Lives Matter march, the defund the police marches in Pittsburgh. It was a lot more like emotionally heavy. And like I don't think I really knew how emotionally heavy it was. And part of it was also because like I watched in real time what I think were like police infiltrators try to fuck with the protests and try to egg people on to like commit, acts of vandalism and violence and this sort of stuff. And it was one of those things like it happens, but watching it happen was a completely different thing. And not being able to do anything about it because we all knew it was happening. Like a bunch of us all saw and like waited to make sure these people weren't going to fuck with the rest of the march. And like it was just so like there's so much emotion behind everything that was going on. I just kind of went home and I put the video that all the videos that I took together and talked about what I saw, and I released a video, and then I like didn't want to do anything, and that's okay, because I think as activists and independent journalists and independent content creators, like we get into this thing of like we have to keep doing shit all the time, nonstop, over and over again, and you don't, right? Like if you need to take a day off, take a day off, because this shit is heavy, and to constantly keep thinking about it and constantly keep talking about it, and then face the pushback. And face people calling you Russians, bad faith actors, or you're a plant or whatever the fuck it is, and then you have to fight these people. And for me personally, I try not to fight these people. I try to actually talk to them until I get to a point where I'm just infuriated, and it's you can go eat a bag of dicks, and then the conversation is over because but all of that takes an emotional toll. So find something that involves none of this stuff, and just go find something that you want to do to recharge, right? Like my big thing is getting stoned and listening to music and watching anime. That's it. I still can see, like I was just talking to Jesse Jett about
Jesse.
Jesse's awesome. He's great.
I love Jesse.
I sent him this Thrice album called "To Be Nowhere Is to Be Everywhere," I think is the name of the album. But it's like this anti-war album that everybody's fucking like, no one's talked about this album, and it's one of the best albums that came out of 2017. I think it's one of the best albums of like ever. But it's a complete anti-war album.
Okay, what is it again? Tell me again.
It's Thrice. To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere, I think is the name of the album. I'll send you the YouTube link of the whole.
That would be very helpful.
Track. Yeah. They talk about whistleblowers. They're talking about like what veterans go through, what happened in New Orleans. Like it's just like shit that would never get played on the radio, but I like listening to that type of music.
Yes.
Because when I'm just relaxing and listening to it, I can passively dissect it and just enjoy it for being what it is, which is awesome music with a message that I give a shit about. But I'm not hooked into all of the other shit that goes into content creation. And when I watch anime, can I see some of the narratives at play in certain animes? Like, of course I can, right? Like, but I can kind of turn it off and just enjoy, I don't know, like an episode of Dragon Ball Z for just being a bunch of aliens that shoot laser beams from their hands.
Right.
You know, like, but that's a couple hours or an evening. And then the following day, it's just, let's get back to it, right? Because I'm recharged and I'm excited. So taking time away from this stuff is okay. And I think a lot of people that are in the sphere can forget about that. Like they're on 100% go mode all the time, and it burns you out. And I mean, it's the same thing with touring and doing comedy. Like if you just constantly tour all the time and you're just in city after city, hotel after hotel, you know, I never wanted to get to that point with my comedy where every night I get on stage, I don't have the same amount of passion in what I'm saying during the first night as during the 100th night. If I'm starting to get to that point, okay, I think I've been on the road too long. I need to go home and, like, you know, lay in a bed in a comfortable setting and, you know, hang out with my cat. Like,
I think it's really that way with everything, though. I mean, too much of anything, but especially activism or even just like being aware. I tell my husband all the time, the worst part of knowing is that you can never unknow. And now that, like, when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I really, like, I was kind of engaged politically. Like, I knew a little bit, but I didn't really, like, I've always been somebody who didn't think that politics mattered whatsoever. Like, it was all just rigged and stupid and, like, nobody should give a shit. But, like, I grew into recognizing that there are things that need to be fought for outside of the political system. But yeah, it's like just, knowing the things that we know and understanding the things that are going on around us, like understanding what's happening in Yemen and what's happening in Syria and what's happening in Gaza and what's still happening in Flint and other communities around the United States, and how our elections are rigged and we're, you know, committing war crimes, you know, probably weekly, maybe daily, who knows. You know, we're controlled by psychopaths, and corporations have completely corrupted our government, and they're trying to take away all of our rights and isolate us. And, you know, just knowing all that stuff is heavy, and it's hard to step away from. It's hard for it to not permeate like every bit of your being and every moment of your day, because it affects everything. So definitely I think but I say, like, you should definitely take time off, as somebody who very rarely does that.
Oh, me too. Me too.
So I'm a hypocrite, but that's my advice to you.
I have to force myself every week for 2.5 hours to just shut it all down.
The other day, I took like most of the day off of Twitter, and I laid on the couch and watched movies and played video games with my kids. And for like 6, 7, 8 straight hours, that's all I did. And it was fabulous. But that's seriously very rare. I need to do that more often. If
I don't force myself for that 2.5 hour block of time every week to say I'm going to, like, this is just because I'm watching it right now, is I'm going to get stoned and watch Young Justice because I haven't seen that show in forever. And I like superhero shit. So cool. That's what I'm going to do. And then I do it. And at the end of it, like, you know, when my housemates come home, I'm not thinking about, oh man, did I put that video out? Or what do I need to do tomorrow? Have I written this piece? Have I done enough research? I can just hang out with them. I can just be relaxed and know that I have done a whole lot. And I get messages from people on Twitter like, man, you put out so much content, I'm only able to keep up with X% of it. And it's like, I always feel like I'm not doing enough. And I think inherently, because we're kind of caught up in this system, we are always going to feel like we're not doing enough, when in reality we are doing enough. You know, like we're doing in like more than enough probably, because we're talking about topics that most corporate media doesn't talk about. Most people are not willing to sit down and do the research for. So we become that you know, kind of that missing piece for people of, you're not going to sit down and talk about the entire history of the Black Panther Party. Well, I am, because I want to learn about that, and when I get excited about shit I want to learn, I want to share it with everybody. So that's what I do. You know, but not everybody's going to do that. But that's all really, really heavy stuff. You can't look into the history of the Black Panther Party, and no matter how funny you think you can make that show, by the end of it, it's going to be super heavy, and somebody might cry. So, which has happened. That's exactly what happened when I did my show about the Black Panther Party. It's a heavy ending.
Well, because, and it's like when the medical testimony and the Assange hearings happened, like that sucked. That was terrible. And then we wanted to cover it again later, so that, you know, we wanted to remind. We kept making, like, we would be like, okay, we're going to do that today, and then like we would have a guest on, and we would completely distract ourselves and get so far off topic that we would never get to it. And that happened like 3, 4, or 5 times, and finally we're like, guys, we really need to do this. We need to stop delaying.
That's the thing.
The first part was, that's the thing that not even won him the case, but barred the extradition, was the medical stuff, which was the heaviest stuff.
And we're all very uncomfortable talking about it because it's so personal, and it should be private, and it makes me feel weird that like we're talking about his medical history, and that's, I don't know.
They dragged him into the public eye.
Yeah.
From everything that I have seen from interviews and, you know, what I've learned about him, I don't know him personally, obviously, but they dragged him into the public light. Because
and he very much positioned himself as the face of WikiLeaks, I think, solely to take on any of the heat that he knew was coming. I mean, he did that interview in 2010 that said, you know, they will chase me to the ends of the earth. They will make my life a living hell, but I have to publish this because the people, like, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but the people deserve to know.
And so WikiLeaks life, the whole idea behind the entire like goal of WikiLeaks was to not even be found out, like to not even have anyone know anyone's names involved in it.
Right.
But it was another journalistic outlet actually that got the names and published them, and they were like, that's the ultimate act of irony. So I think that's what it evolved into, was like, we got that public bulwark about journalism because of journalism. Like the names of Julian Assange and all of these other individuals were supposed to be private, but through their journalistic work, another journalist was able to show who they were, which then helped get us to where we are today, being able to even defend the process of reviewing classified information.
Well, and him wanting to kind of be the face of WikiLeaks, I think, is one of the things they try to use against him. And saying, oh, he's a narcissist.
Yes.
Look, nobody wants to knowingly like be the face of an organization that is going to get targeted by virtually every intelligence community across the planet. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants that. Like, and he knew that was going to happen. And, you know, he kind of stepped up and said, okay, I'll do it. That doesn't make him a narcissist. No. He just saw himself in that role because nobody else was going to stand up. Like, you know, it's like the kid that
I wouldn't have the balls for that. I mean, this dude seriously repeatedly proves his character. I mean, in 2017, he's already public enemy number 1. He's like 6 years into arbitrary detention in the Ecuadorian embassy. He knows they're coming for him, and he publishes Vault 7 any damn way. Yeah. I mean, would you have the nerve to do that? Like the largest CIA leak in history? I don't know if I'd have that. I'd like to think I'd have that kind of nerve. But
then 6 months later, publishes Hillary Clinton's fucking private emails.
Yes. I mean, this is a dude who has repeatedly proven himself.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't have that. I know that because every time in college, I was picked to be the leader of our group, presentations and all that, and I never fucking wanted it. And it was just, again, it's just you have that thrust upon you. So what do you do with it? Are you going to say, nah, I'll let somebody else deal with it? No, if somebody kind of puts you in that position, you know, the thing to do is likely to just accept it and see what happens. And rise up. Yeah. And you'll likely fail, and you'll likely fuck up, and you'll likely make mistakes, and then you'll learn from them, and hopefully it'll make you a better person. And with Julian, that's kind of what we're seeing. But Julian, there's not a lot that he did wrong. In fact, I don't think there's anything that he really did wrong. But he's getting treated like he is, and that's the thing. Is
he's not infallible. I mean, I'm sure there are things along the way that he's done that have been, you know, maybe over the top, or maybe he said some things where, you know, whatever. Everybody does, you know. I'm sure there are things. Like, I don't want people to think, listen, Krish, I get accused of being a cult leader all the time, so let's just, you know, put some levity here, because he's not perfect. He's not
I'm not saying that he is.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm just it makes me laugh because I'm a cult leader.
But in a legal sense, like, I don't think he's done anything wrong. I don't his publishing of them saying like it's caused lives. What lives?
There's no proof of that. They've admitted to it in court. I'm so tired of hearing it. Shut the fuck up, everybody.
So to me, it's just like, yeah, I'm sure he's not the perfect person, but who is, right? Like, name one perfect person, and
well,
then
people are like, yeah, but he's an asshole. Well, have you ever met him? No. Well, how do you know he's an asshole then? You have no idea he's like
exactly.
Shut the fuck up. God.
Yeah, they try to make these character assassinations of him, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's never made any sense.
Part of the game, like that's. I mean, seriously, if you are a big like nerd researcher like I am, go back and look at the decade-long campaign against Julian Assange, because it really is something to behold. It has been very like systematic, and it has been very deliberate and specifically targeted at certain things at certain times. Like, it's very we're up against a lot, y'all.
Yeah,
real talk.
But
yeah,
we should probably close up. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us, Krish. I super appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I look forward to your show on Friday. They're always awesome.
Yes, check out Krish's shows on Friday.
Let people know where they can find you, the work that you do, and some final thoughts.
Yeah, you can find all my stuff on my website at krishmohanhaha.com. It's KRISHMOHANHAHA.com. You can find my ticket links to the virtual shows there. All of my podcasts and videos are posted there. All my stand-up comedy albums are there. And if you get them off of Bandcamp, I think it's there's only one that I'm charging for, and it's like $1. So you can pretty much get all of my albums for $1, because I just want people to enjoy something that they're going to enjoy and not have to worry about paying too much money for it or anything, or being priced out.
But if you can afford to pay a little bit more, do that.
You can, yes.
Help a comrade out.
So that's krishmohanhaha.com. And yeah, I mean, that's, I would say keep supporting independent journalism and independent media, because you're not going to get the truth when it's funded by Raytheon and Bayer, and they're trying to fucking sell more McNuggets or whatever. This is I mean, the independent media is always going to be funded by the people. Like, there's no corporate sponsors here. There's no small business sponsors here either. It's all funded and operated specifically by the people, by viewers that watch the show and support the show. So this is where things need to be, and we need to amplify and uplift independent media a whole lot more.
Yes, and I'm going next because I don't have to close. I get very excited about it. Okay, so I'm Misty. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I have another show called Facts on the Ground with Jesse Zerwell. We have a lot of stuff coming up, but I'm not really sure if I should say anything because scheduling has been weird this week. So I'll just say that there's a lot coming up. Other than that, Thanks everybody in the chat. I love you guys. Thanks everybody that's helping with all of these trips and events. And I mean, we're trying to make things happen. So, and we can't do it without you. I know that sounds like really cliche, but we really can't do it without you. So yeah. Again, I always feel like I'm forgetting something. Thanks to my host. Thanks to Sleepy Josh, of course. Sleepy Josh is the bestest tech ninja on planet Earth. And you're welcome. And that's it. Find an event near you. If you need help finding an event, holler at your girl. I will help you find an event. I will help you create an event. I will help you find other people to event with. Like just whatever you need. Let's go. So yeah, that's it, I think. Go ahead, Andrew.
My name's Andrew. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigmund, Zigmund. You can find us on Twitter at action_4 Assange. We will be getting the fundraiser posted this evening. After that, I'll be able to put up the website post. So I am super pumped to be able to see everybody in DC again. And I want to give a big thank you to all of everyone involved in making all of this happen. We have an awesome DC crew. We have the LA crew, Steve, Glory, Combo Couch, Josh, Johnny. It's just fucking, like, it's phenomenal to see everything growing the way that it is with the structure. And it's just beautiful. So thank you to everyone for organizing. And please never stop. Good luck to us all.
That sounded very weak, sir.
I wasn't sure. Okay.